if your biggest mistake were a mirror, what truth about yourself would it reveal? And that sounds like a very good question, but think about it. Sometimes the worst things aren't really even the big ones. They're just the little habits we ignore. Everyone knows what youth is, right? People have different versions of it. For example, some of them will call it a stage, a time of growth, your own discovery, etc. Well, it is also known as a time to make decisions. Decisions that can shape our future in unpredictable ways. Back then, many of us thought our habits were completely harmless, whether it was staying up late, spending hours on social media, or just being reckless about your health. Yet, I was far from knowing that these smallest actions could have lasting consequences. Since I was a child, I was diagnosed with insomnia. Falling asleep has always been difficult for me, and even nowadays, I have to take melatonin so I can fall asleep. This lack of sleep has followed me as I grew up. Not resting at night meant struggling throughout the day. What was already a burden became even worse once technology became part of my life. During pandemic, screens turned into my whole entire world. I spent all day and all night watching, playing, learning, and we are realizing all the damage I was causing to myself. But the true impact came last year on March when I was at a party. Everything was just fine. I was dancing, singing, and basically having the best time with my friends until El Payaso de Rodeo started. As the music continued, I suddenly began to feel how my body trembled and had these sudden spasms that I couldn't control. I mean, I was conscious about it, but I didn't stop. It just didn't. So I have two versions of what happened afterwards. The first version is that I managed to stop the spasms and went to take a seat. The second version is a sudden blackout. Well, none of those two were correct. I had a small dream about me falling asleep at the party, and my head was resting on my best friend's shoulder until some people began to drag me into a secluded area, and I was like, whoa, these people don't really want me to fall asleep at a party. That's when that I noticed I was surrounded, literally surrounded by adults looking worried. And I didn't understand why. So I looked at my surroundings, trying to figure out where was I, until my eyes landed on the door where my friends were crying and looking worried, which made me more confused. So as I lay down on the couch, they gave me my inhaler because they thought, oh, maybe she just had an asthma attack. And I really wish that was the case, but it wasn't. So they began to ask me these questions, basic questions like, what's your name? Do you know how old are you? Do you know where you live? Do you know where you are? I was like, my name is Andrea. I'm 15. I live at Cotepec. I'm at a park. But I just felt more overwhelmed by these questions that I started laughing and then crying for no reason. Fortunately, my parents were at another event near the party, so they managed to pick me up very quickly. Once I arrived at my house, I sat down on my couch trying to process what just happened. My body was sore, my nose hurt, my mouth hurt, even my ankle were hurt. That's when my mother came, sat right next to me, and told me, you just had a seizure. And I was like, me? A seizure? Come on, those are full things. But deep inside me knew that this was kind of possible due to my past actions. So one day I decided to skip school so I could go to the hospital. And after running some tests, the doctors told me that all those years of sleep deprivation and constant screen use had led me to this crisis. That moment forced me to face the reality of my choices. What seemed like simple habits had turned into serious consequences. So they handed me some pills, and I was like, oh, there are some pills, right? But no, they told me that I have to take them for 3 full years every night and no skipping. And if I dare to skip one night, I have to restart the whole process and again. And I was like, 3 whole years? No, thank you. I'm too lazy for that. But I had to pull apart that laziness and replace it with responsibility. Because, well, come on, no one wants to live that way. Now, I try to protect my sleep, control my screen time, and I even value my health in way that I never did before. Because no one wants to risk their or future due to petty decisions. Even though this accident was serious and I really hope it doesn't happen again, it made me realize that this consequence was the right one. Strict, but necessary. My story is a reminder for younger people that being reckless, naive, or even stubborn can follow us into the future. Remember what Mahatma Gandhi said once: the future depends on what you do today. So remember that the choices we make today will decide the adults we'll become tomorrow. Thank you.